Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kaylin and thanks for joining me. And I am doing a no-buy month at the minute, and I've been working through decluttering and finding ways to save money, and I've just been thinking up lists of things that I have done in the past that have helped me to save money, and also just trying to come up with my own tips and try and think of things that are slightly original for money saving ideas. I know that with frugal living there's a lot of information out there and it's quite hard to produce anything that no one has heard of before, but sometimes it's good to be reminded of things that we might have forgotten about, and you just never know, you might hear a new tip from someone. And I also like that people can share their ideas below, so feel free to do that in the comments if you want to join in the conversation. So the first tip that I have for saving money is to use things up until they're fully done. And by this, I don't mean like use up every tiny amount of toothpaste that's in a tube. I mean using appliances and items that are damaged, but they're still safe to use. Like for example, I have this blender, it's a Ninja. I was given it as a present a long time ago, like maybe 7 years ago. A few years ago, the seal fell out of it from around the rim, and I still use it. It's still safe to use. It is slightly more awkward to clean sometimes, but not to the point where it's actually annoying, and it doesn't make life any harder. It works perfectly well, and I could have wasted a huge amount of money on buying a replacement, but I just don't see the point whenever it's working fine. The same applies to this hand blender. It's a bit stained because it's so old and I use it quite regularly to make soup. When I bought it, for some reason, like this has never detached so that you can't, it's supposed to come apart so you can wash it. But even though that is slightly annoying, I have kept it because it blends everything fine. It works great. It's a minor annoyance, and I just unplug it before I wash it. I rinse it off. I don't submerge it in water, so it's still like safe. It's not causing me any major problems, so I don't see the point in rushing out to buy a replacement. I'm sure I will at some point, but I just don't feel in a hurry to do so. And I think that there's a tendency in our society to always like want to upgrade things even if there's nothing wrong with them. Like every couple of years we're just sort of taught that you buy a new version of something because it has all these advanced features, but if the things that you have like are working fine, there's no reason to just discard them, and it's better for the environment too. My second tip to save money is to cut, dye or shave your own hair. I actually can't remember the last time that I went to a hairdresser to get my hair done, and I used to spend a lot of money whenever I was quite young on getting my hair dyed and cut, and I was very rarely happy with the results. There were a couple of times I found a good hairdresser, but overall I was generally disappointed. And I think because I have kind of weird hair that does its own thing and it's frizzy and dry, people don't really know what to do with it. So I would quite often come out of a hairdresser's looking like a poodle and having to do like a walk of shame home. So that didn't really feel good, especially when you have spent a huge amount of money on getting your hair done and you want it to look a particular way. I didn't really trust myself at that point with scissors and like doing my hair myself, but just through practice I think it's got easier. Like the first couple of haircuts I gave myself were probably pretty dodgy, but with time it's got easier. I also cut my own kids' hair and my partner's hair, and I also shave his undercut for him, and that has saved us lots of money. I dye my own hair, he dyes his own hair because he has multicolored hair. If you can hear snoring, it's just my puppy. He had a long walk and he's now in a deep sleep and looks very comfy. And yeah, I just think it has saved us a huge amount of money, and I have got past any sort of fear I had about doing it in the beginning. With shaving his head, I was scared the first time I did it because I'd never shaved someone's head before, and I was scared I was going to like butcher him by mistake, but it actually was fine, and now it's just become like something that we can do in minutes. So it's definitely helpful to have that skill, and it's easy for anyone to learn. And it means you don't have to wait for an appointment too. If you look in the mirror and you're like, I want my hair done now, you don't have to wait until they have availability. You can just do it yourself at home. My third tip for saving money is to stop trying out new products if you're perfectly happy with the ones that you have. For example, if you have like a favorite moisturizer but you just think you should change things up and try something new, there isn't any real reason to, because the chances of you finding one that you prefer to that are pretty slim. You're probably just going to waste loads of money on buying like different ones and trying them out just to be disappointed. And I just think that we are also encouraged through marketing to always try new things and go after these like new must-have items. But if what you have is working well for you, there's no reason to change it. My fourth tip for saving money is to remove the excuse to buy certain items by subscribing for them instead, because it means you spend less time in the shops and you are less tempted to buy other things, and you won't like chop and change and buy different things and collect more than you need. You know it's coming in the post, so you're not going to go out and buy it, and you're not going to waste money on extra things. And usually the refills are much cheaper than the original subscription cost. For example, I have had my razor handle for years. I just get the refills sent to my house when I need them. You can set the frequency to whatever you want it to be. So if you don't need refills as often as they might suggest, you can change that before you pay for it. For example, I love Wild deodorant, and I also got myself and my kids, sorry, my dog is barking because the postman came to the door and he can't like calm himself down now. Shh, it's just the postman. It's like some sort of like spasm where he can't stop himself barking. Anyway, are you gonna shush so I can talk? Shh, it's okay, he's away. Right, so this is a Wild lip balm that I got. I just recently decided to try it. I really love it. It's very moisturizing. You can get different scents. I'm not sponsored by them, I just like it. And I like their deodorant, and I also got their shower gel because they're all refillable. I like that you can keep the case and it's better for the environment, and the refills on their own after you've made the initial purchase aren't as expensive as like when you have to buy the case, obviously. So I know they're coming to the house. I'm not tempted to buy other lip balms, shower gels, or deodorants when I'm out, so it eliminates the chance of me buying any sort of impulse purchases in those areas. And the same with, I've got Party and Fig. It's like a cleaner. My mom got me this bottle a really long time ago and she gave me refills for a while. I've now subscribed because I got it half price, and I just love the scent of them, and you can use it to clean anything. And I also think you can dilute it a little bit more when it's running out, more than they sort of suggest, because it has such a strong scent anyway. So yeah, those are some ways in which I feel like we save money, because we're not then going out and buying loads of cleaning products and other items that we don't need. So the next tip that I have to save money is to get a pet. Since getting a pet, I know this might seem a little counterintuitive, but I think we've saved a lot of money. I know there are a lot of costs, especially initially with getting a pet, like just buying the pet, all of the items it needs, insurance, any vet payments that aren't covered by your insurance. We have a subscription for his worming and flea tablets, so they come when he needs them and it's easy to give them to him. But he has like changed our way of life in a lot of ways. We tend to stay closer to home. I don't feel like we go as far in the car, so we're saving money on petrol. We don't do as many activities or go on as many holidays, because then we would have to sort out like having someone to look after him, and the cost of that is a lot. So you kind of have to plan everything out more, and it just makes you think twice about doing certain things. And I think that he also entertains my kids a lot, and he just makes everybody feel like more settled at home. I think having a pet creates like a calming atmosphere, plus they're very entertaining to watch whenever they're hyper. So I just think the benefits are like immense, and any costs that come along with it are worth it, and they're kind of like the savings basically outweigh the costs. If you get fast food or you buy coffee from coffee chains, make sure that you have the app on your phone, because the savings that you can get through those apps are crazy. Like McDonald's, you can get free things every time you go. If you bring your own cup with you to a lot of coffee shops like Nero, for example, they give you an extra coffee stamp just for bringing your own cup, even if you're sitting in. and then you get a free coffee faster. So I just think that it's worthwhile getting the apps if you're going to eat out or go out for coffee. Make sure that you're making all of the savings that you possibly can while you're there. Tip number 8 is to read more than you use electronics and to do tasks where you use your hands more than you're using energy. So for example, tangible things like board games, decorating in your house, organizing things, sewing. You can highlight and annotate books. You can make things, like for example, I really love air drying clay because you don't have to use a kiln. It just dries by itself and then you can paint it. You can make anything you want with it. And I just think the more time that you spend away from screens, the better, like for your mental health as well as your finances. Like if you just get outdoors and do simpler things, it just makes for a better life and it definitely reduces your energy bills. My 9th tip for how to save money is to rotate your cupboards regularly. So if you just move around what's inside your cupboards as often as you can, just remind yourself of what's in there, because it's easy to forget and you can buy doubles of things that you don't need just because you've forgotten they're buried at the back. And it gives you ideas for cooking or to use things that you already have that you've just forgotten like exist in the house. So I just think it's really beneficial for saving money, and there's been so many times in the past when I have gone out and bought something forgetting that I already had it at home, and then I always find it right after, and it's annoying knowing that you didn't have to make the trip, you didn't have to go near a shop, like you already had it on hand. And my last tip, number 10, is to have a limit on what you consider to be an acceptable price for something and to not budge from that. Don't let marketing or people that work in shops that are trying to sell you the most expensive item just sway you. If you have kind of agreed with yourself in advance on a budget for a particular item, it's for a reason. And even if they advertise all these extra features of something that's much more expensive, do you need them? Just ask yourself, like, if you do, because if you have set that budget before going into the shop, it's for a good reason. And I think that walking into a shop can change our sort of sense of reality. Like when you're there, you kind of feel like you're in this little bubble where your finances don't really exist and there's no consequences to your spending other than good ones, especially because that's what we're sold when we're there. But if you just agree with yourself in advance on a budget for what you want to buy and don't allow yourself to be manipulated into spending more than that, it will just feel so much better when you go home and you haven't bought anything you didn't plan to get. So I hope these tips are helpful to someone. I know that you might have heard certain ones before just because there's so much information about frugal living online, but hopefully it inspires you to save money in different ways that you might have forgotten about. And thanks for joining me. Hi to any new subscribers, and feel free to subscribe and comment, and I will see you soon. Bye.